Okay, let's just start going from leg to leg. So the difficulty with our posture, our bum-in posture, is that it forces you to just look up and face the world that you live in. You can't collapse into your own imaginary world, and that's actually quite difficult. So it takes a few minutes to pluck up the courage to get the bum in properly. So just bringing the mind into the sacrum, feeling it like that heavy weight on the end of the line, on the end of the spine. So Tai Chi, Tai Chi work, it starts with developing a root. And spiritual work always starts with quietening the mind. And in a sense, they're the same thing. So that's what we want to try and feel. When you get this in the right position, which is down and forwards of where it wants to be, then there's a sense that the mind is always lifting. There's a lightness to the mind. So a mind that's thinking to itself will always be heavy. It will always fall. Yeah? And the quiet mind has a light lifting quality. So it's not depressive. Yeah, so when you get the sacrum in the right position, then it will feel like the arms want to lift. They want to stay up. You're not struggling against their heaviness to keep them up. But that really needs this to get underneath, have a sense of getting underneath them. So the quiet mind is not just a quietness, it's an absolute no sense of itself. So just this feeling of this sort of just a lifting into like startlement, like astonishment or wonder. So John always used to sort of marvel at his cats, that they could take the same route through the house. And every time it was like the first time, every time they would look at objects that they knew very well, as though they had no idea what it was. Yeah. So you're referring to what is there, not with your idea of what is there. In a state of grace and with a sense of wonder. Yeah. So that Lawrence quote, everything starts from wonder. So when this gets into the right place, which is forwards and down, then there will be a sense of lightness lifting up the body. So this becomes a prayer of adoration. You're just transmitting energy upwards. Okay. Now just feel, as soon as you let the hands down, this tends to go back a little bit. Yeah? It's like it brings you back into the world of things. Yeah? And when you lift the arms up like that and allow that act to bring this forwards, suddenly you're in this world of energy, of lifting energy. Yeah? And then just bring the hands down again. Okay, and now let's just turn, just to loosen the hips really. So just with that awareness of the sacrum. Yeah, so so normally the sacrum, it's like part of the body that we're just really unaware of, partly because we can't see it. And we just want to be very aware of where it is. Okay, and now let's come back to, again, just getting this into the right position. So it's not just a position, it's like a drift down and forwards, it's a tendency. Okay, now let's just figure it out with the hips, yeah? So just more from turning than actually moving side to side too much. And again, just being very aware of the sacrum, because when we figure it out with the hips, it tends to push the bum back like this, yeah? And that's what we don't want. So the sacrum doesn't really move, it just turns, yeah? So remember, if the sacrum is in the right place, there will be a feeling of a lightness lifting up through the body all the time. And the mind, the ego doesn't like that at all. The ego is always trying to, it's like a magnet, it tries to draw everything to itself. So that feeling of just letting go of energy, it doesn't like, so you have to sort of watch that desire to bring everything back to you. Yeah, so the top hand is sort of with that lifting energy, and the bottom hand is with your root, you know, with the sacrum. That's actually digging down into the ground. So the sacrum underpins everything that you do, especially with the upper body, you know, with the arms. Ooh. There's a sense that I'm underneath this action here. Okay, so let's bring it back. Relax this. Okay, and now let's just move from side to side again, like we did at the beginning. But now just feel how it naturally becomes like a figure of eight. So basically a figure of eight is just a side-to-side motion, where instead of it just returning the way it's come, it sort of loops, yeah? So that it can be a little bit softer. So we just want to feel, so as I sink into this foot and fill this foot, I want to feel like a space opening up, almost like a little explosion opens up the foot here. And that creates that vacuum that then sucks me across. But it's like a natural path then. So I sink into this foot and something opens up here and that draws me across, yeah? So what happens with the empty foot, yeah? So something goes out. So as I fill this side empties. Yeah, but you can also think of it in terms of the energy filling this side. So as I fill this side with my weight, the energy is squeezed into this side. And I want that to just create a hole, create a space that will invite me back in, if you like. So here, ooh. So this is like an act of spirit. Sink into this foot and something opens up here. If you let it, it will. If you're too much with the body and physicality, the material, mechanical, then it won't. But that's you resisting the energy. Yeah. So I sink into this. Yes, yeah, so energy work, it's poetical. It's of the imagination, yeah? Which doesn't mean it's not real. It just means it's not of our usual reality, which is material and mechanical. Yeah, so here, ooh, I've just got to let something open up and draw me. Ooh. So this is the compassionate mind. All the time, I just want to make, what I want to make sure is that it's a natural phenomenon. It's not something I'm producing. Yeah? So for that, I just have to make sure I keep the sacrum underneath it all. And then the energy will express itself. What the ego will want is to draw the sacrum back and to be in control, to be doing it. Yeah? I want this feeling that it's just, I have to. Yeah, so as I sink into one leg, that sort of compresses. Everything has to become quite firm and contracted just to hold me. Yeah, but that enables the other side to really expand. And I just want to feel how that expansion draws me in. I'm just getting it to happen because my sacrum is in the right place. That's what's really difficult, really. Because first of all, your legs have to be bloody strong. Okay. So let's bring it back. Get the sacrum in the right place, and then it will feel like the hands just want to lift. Okay, and now let's just get a circuit going. So again, I want the hands lifting because I've brought this forwards. Yeah. And then it's like something inside you gets a bit sad, and that brings it down. It goes into the ground, comes up. So here, this is like hope. You know, like something in you is lifting, and then it all condenses and dribbles down through you. Yeah, so you can just switch your mind from the sinking to the lifting. Yeah, so we all know what sinking feels like. It's sort of heavy and depressive, basically. But this one here, ooh, your eyes really have to open. So this is the sense of wonder. So wonder, if you like, is like your spirit energy lifting in grace. It's like something falling down from the heavens into you. So you're just switching from one to the other. So here, wow. And then I can just switch my mind. I can just bring my mind. And it's more sort of liquid and heavy, but it's not solid. And this is very much of the vapor, of the ether. Like a fire, yeah? So the fire licks upwards and sends these hot currents up. So this is like the fire. And then this is like the rain. That's it. So just feeling the importance of the position of the sacrum, or the sacrum underneath this. Okay, now let's just get a bit of a turn in it, just to sort of enrich it a little. So just turning to the side a little bit and then back to the front. Yeah, so it just becomes so open that, you know, you have to get the sacrum in the right place, otherwise you'll leak. So the sacrum is like, you know, your sobriety, your probity, your ruthlessness. So you've really, that's your control, if you like. You control the sacrum in a way, so that everything else in you can just let go. So you need that anchor. Or as Nitzan calls it, anchor. So, okay, and now let's just bring it into a little bit of this. And again, just trying not to let it pull you forwards, keeping that feeling of the spirit lifting. So the height of the Dan Chen, you know, like you're stimulating the energy point, the Dan Chen. And then let's just bring it up to the heart. So the problem with the sort of lifting energy is that it's very sort of vaporous and amorphous. It's like it doesn't have shape or structure. So we need to give it a little, yeah. So here we're just allowing these centers, belly, heart, and head, just congeal a little, you know, like there's a bit of a concentration. All the time the sacrum is underneath it all. And now let's try a little bit for the head. So don't worry too much about the point where it is. It will just manifest. And then just down through them and out again. Wow. So the fire and the rain. Okay, and now let's just try a figure of 8 with one hand. So we want the feeling that the figure of 8, it's almost like a vague shape that's coming out of the mist. Yeah. So we've got this sort of misty feeling of the energy rising and the rain sinking. And then we just want to give it a little bit of shape. So this should feel just as airy. It's just got a shape that comes from the structure of the body. And this feeling of energy just continuing. So there's a continuous movement, yeah? So that, you know, a sense that it's sort of coiling around your whole body. The arm is just expressing an aspect of it, but this figure of 8 it's enveloping you. Yeah. Remember that famous Greek statue with the Laocoon? You know, the man and his 2 sons being strangled by the serpent, you know, this feeling of these coils sort of wrapping around you. But it's the energy, it's not, so it's not too muscular. It can become muscular, but only because the energy's taken it there, rather than because you've taken it there. Yeah. So you just need a bit of patience and a bit of self-discipline. And it all hinges on the sacrum, just being able to just underpin it. So the legs have to really clasp the sacrum lightly not to squash it. It just feels, it's almost like a massage. It's almost like you're massaging your body. When it gets a bit warmer, we'll try it naked. You can really imagine you're being massaged. Yeah, so this is going right down into the ground, and then this is coming up above the head. So you're quite small, sort of within this swirling energy. And you can do it however you like. You can get both hands going, you can get alternating. Yeah, so remember I told you about that time on a Sunday we're sitting down in the Tai Chi center. And we'd just started doing the weights, you know, so we were used to using those machines in the back room. And then someone asked John, you know, what would be the best machine to develop the correct Tai Chi strength? Yeah. And he thought for a while, and then he just said it'd be like a wetsuit, like a rubber wetsuit that is really tight, that inhibits everything that you do. So you really have to work to actually make your movements. Yeah, so it's like you're tightly, this figure of 8, it's sort of, it's expanding, but it's also coming into you. It's tightening around you, it's coiling. And then just slipping into the other. Yeah, and the thing is just to play with it. You know, we used to get like 2 waist turns. You know, 1 going up, 1 going down, but then you can also get 4. You know, you can get 2 waist turns going up and 2 waist turns coming down. So however you feel it. The important thing today is just keeping the sacrum in the thick of it. So the sacrum is not behind it. It's right in the middle. And so absolutely no anxiety attached to what you're doing. It should be sheer joy. So remember, John had that teacher, Dr. Panizzi, the Icelandic guy, that he learnt spirit from. So the only phrase that I know from him that John told me is sea of fire. Yeah. So it's like you're standing in this sea of fire. So you're just expressing these flames that are licking up through you. But like cool flames, you're not being burned. It's just pure energy, yeah, but energy expressing itself. Energy made visible, if you like. Ooh. Okay, and now let's just yeah. So just feel that beautiful balance between the stillness of the sacrum and this feeling of you want to feel like you're completely drunk. You know, you're drunk on the energy. And without this, you'd basically fall over. You'd lose your balance, yeah? So there's a sense that you've let go of all the sort of things that you normally hold on to keep yourself together. But the only way you can do that is if this is the opposite, is if this is just really together and still. Okay, let's just bring the feet up. And now just pushing hands. So just sending your hand. You know, when you watch people doing pushing hands, they generally have a big step, yeah, a long step, because it gives them space to actually move backwards and forwards. Yeah. So generally, the way pushing hands is taught is that you receive the push, you allow that push to send you back into the back foot, and then if you need to, you turn. If you need any more space, you turn. Now, John's was very different because John always used to stress that you should turn first and only go back if you need to. Yeah, and he used to show, the illustration would be Dr. Chi. Apparently, when Dr. Chi pushed hands, his feet were almost together like this. Yeah, so he didn't have that space, that luxury of space. He had to turn. He had to yield. He couldn't avoid. Yeah. So here, just sending out an arm as like a lure. So you're sending something out to touch, and then you just melt and let this hand come in, but you also send out the other side. Yeah. Okay, so let's try that again. So just one, so extending the arm, but also a sense that you're sending the energy from behind you, yeah? And then you yield, but the yielding also sends out the energy from the other side, yeah? So this side of your body is going backwards, but that has to be balanced by the other side of the body coming forwards, because the feet are together. Otherwise, you'll lose your balance, yeah? So one hand forwards, yield, and then this just goes out. It doesn't go out to attack, it goes out to slip around the person. So now you're touching their back, yeah? So I yield, and this. So this isn't going forwards in order to push that way, it's going forwards in order to loop around, yeah? So one and two, yeah? So it's all turning and sinking. So a little turn here to extend, and then turning here to yield or neutralize, as they call it, and then this hand coming behind. So one, two, and it brings you into the same leg that you've yielded with. So here, whoa. So one, yeah. So two sides of the body, both doing very different things. So the yielding side is shrinking and contracting, getting smaller. And the other side of the body is expanding and getting bigger. So there's almost a sense of this, yeah, because this side has got shorter and this side has got longer. That's very Dr. Chi. Yeah? So you turn, like I'm making a smaller and smaller space here the more I turn, and this is getting bigger and bigger to reach around. So really full and empty. So I yield. Yeah, so we need to locate the two minds, the mind that is yielding and the mind that is expanding and coming out with the other hand. And then you can allow them both to express themselves. So this is very Tai Chi, you know, the Wu Chi becoming Tai Chi, you know, the yin and the yang, yeah. So two very different energies, complementary. We want to really feel how, you know, you can't have one without the other. They require each other. It's just our usual ego mind that actually makes everything one thing. So this is, you know, yin and yang playing together. Tai Chi. Tai Chi is just a yin yang symbol. Yeah, so whoa. All the time feeling the sacrum underneath. Hello, boys. Sweethearts. So, okay, let's try a few with the other hand. So just, whoa, and I yield. And this just, it just appears this. It's like it almost takes you by surprise. Yeah? So I yield. Yes, if you try, real pushing hands like this, then it'll be very difficult to go back to the other way. And in a sense, remember when, with John, it's like, he always told us, when you yield, the other hand should be like out and on a cushion of air. So that's just the equivalent really to this feeling of sort of coming around the back. It's really curving out of your back and around the other person. You're containing them in your energy, with energy. So yield and get the feeling that you're going around them. So if you continued, you just make like a circle, rather than it coming forwards too much. So here, this is coming around. So you really get a sense of that space that you're containing. So 1, and 1. So part of me is shrinking and coming in, and another part of me is expanding and coming out. All the time, the sacrum is underneath. Wow. Okay, now let's just bring it back to riding horse a little bit. So, sacrum. So when you get this in the right place, the hands will just lift. And you'll have to work to keep them down. Okay, so let's bring it back to attention. Okay, very good. So let's close.